I went from this to this in only 60 days of training, and I'm not done. In this video, I'm gonna be explaining my plan for how I'm gonna increase my vert enough to consistently dunk, as well as how you could add inches to your own vertical if you follow along. In 60 days, I crammed in 5 phases of training that were meant to increase my vertical as much as possible, as quickly as possible, and I made some huge gains. However, now I have a lot more time to focus in on my training and see what I'm really capable of. In order to completely transform my vertical, I'm gonna complete 2 broad phases of training using advanced periodization. This is meant to first create a massive foundation, and second, build up on that foundation, leading to a massive peak. These 2 phases will be split into multiple subphases. The foundation phase, which I'm currently going through, is split into 4 subphases that are meant to prepare my muscles, tendons, and connective tissues so that I can handle advanced training techniques and transform my athleticism. And now, my beautiful, hot, athletic coach Simon did you change my script?
Hey guys, I'm Simon from Shocking Performance and I'm Zach's coach. I'm honestly not a vertical jump specialist, but I am pretty good at developing power, and I used that knowledge to coach Zach through his 60-day dunking challenge, where he got awesome results thanks to his hard work. The whole point of that challenge was to have him jumping higher as soon as possible, but this time around we're gonna take the opposite approach. We are gonna slowly and steadily create a massive foundation for Zach so that he can slowly and steadily build upon it over the next 6 months and then hit a giant peak. We are, instead of going for fast results, going for crazy results. And here's how we're gonna do it. We're starting with a long isometric phase. This phase will have some muscular benefits, but it's mainly intended to develop the tendons. Tendons take a lot longer to develop and adapt than muscles do, and are arguably significantly more important for athletic performance, especially for jumping. Long hold isometrics allow forces to travel through the entirety of the tendon, stimulating it to adapt and also increasing its stiffness to a degree. This also has the advantage of developing the capillaries, or the small blood vessels in the targeted areas, which will essentially create aerobic or endurance adaptations in those areas, increasing recovery and blood flow. The next few phases are broken down based on the necessary motions in any athletic movement. The eccentric, or the stretching phase of the muscle, the isometric, or amortization phase, which is where you turn around or switch between the concentric and the eccentric, and finally the concentric, or the muscle shortening phase of a movement. One of the biggest determinants of athletic performance is actually not how much force you can produce concentrically, like most people think it is, but is instead how much force and how quickly you can absorb that force eccentrically before turning it around and turning it into a concentric contraction. In other words, it's sort of how good your stretch shortening cycle is. With that in mind, the next phase is the heavy eccentrics phase. Eccentrically focused movements cause a lot of muscle damage, so this phase will probably cause the most muscle soreness of any of the phases we do. It will involve overloading the eccentric phase of a movement with really heavy weights. You can actually handle more weight eccentrically than you can concentrically, so this phase might be composed of things like a back squat that's so heavy Zach couldn't lift it by himself, but that he can slowly control the eccentric all the way down to the bottom. This phase is really taxing, but it leads to massive changes in your muscle and tissues, and pays off massively in our ability to absorb high amounts of force. After that is the heavy isometric phase. This will involve heavy isometrics held for 4 to 8 seconds. The idea is to drop really quickly into the chosen position and then freeze there, and hold it for the intended period of time. The stronger you are isometrically, the better you are at amortizing, or switching between your eccentric and concentric phases of a movement quickly, which is a huge marker of athleticism and helps you to avoid the massive energy leaks caused by a slow turnaround time, which disrupts your stretch shortening cycle and hurts your explosiveness. Finally, there's a heavy concentric phase. This phase isn't really a concentric phase, but it's more so just a combination of the previous phases that we've already talked about. So there's a fast eccentric, followed by a really fast isometric, and then just a regular concentric afterward. These weights will be pretty heavy, but they'll all be moved with max intent, which means as fast as possible. And this phase helps to tie the qualities that we've already developed together in a functional way before we move on to more advanced forms of training.
This phase that Simon just explained is gonna skyrocket my vertical, and it could do the same for you.
Which is why we laid everything out in program form, and we're gonna give you guys the first month of the foundation phase completely for free.
If you like the program and you're making a lot of progress, you can pick up the rest of it from the link in the description.
Also, keep an eye out for the power and peaking phase, which we will release as soon as it's developed.
Alongside all of the lifting, I'm also gonna be doing max approach jump sessions every week. Without a doubt, max approach jumps are the best exercise to help increase your vertical. As of now, I plan on averaging about 2 to 4 jump sessions per week, but that could very well go down to even 1 session if I start seeing any signs of injury at all. Jumping at max effort will skyrocket your vertical, but it could also take a huge toll on your body if you're not careful. Only do as many jump sessions as you think that your body can handle. If you don't know how many that is, I recommend starting out with only 1 per week, especially if you're a beginner. If you're confused by anything that we said in this video, let me know in the comments below. And if you're curious about how I made so much progress in only 60 days, watch this video here. Thank you so much for watching.